Well, good evening, everybody. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather. We've got more details to share with you here. I will tell you right now, though, we may not necessarily have the level of detail you want. I can't tell you what schools are going to close or if they even will, and I can't tell you exactly what time the snow will start. But we can look at some broad strokes as we get closer. It's Monday night. We're expecting this to start Wednesday night at the earliest, most of it on Thursday. So we still have some time there. And please understand that most schools are not probably going to make a decision to delay school until that morning. So that may have to wait, but of course we'll be bringing you all of those closures as we get closer. Right now I want to show you a little bit of the big picture here, and this is the storm that we will be watching here. Well, does it want to cooperate? This thing is supposed to be in motion here. Thank you so much. So this is the storm we're watching, and this is going to continue to develop and increase in intensity as it makes its way. And what will happen is we eventually will see that get closer. We'll see, you can see already this upper level moisture making its way from the Pacific Ocean. We will see that increase, and we will see that bring that moisture into north central Texas. I've been talking about the fact that there's going to be quite a bit of dry air present. Well, the good news is, at least for those of you who want snow, looks like that moisture will overcome that dry air to fall, and we will be looking at a pretty decent coverage of all that moisture. Now, where is what going to happen? Well, right now, we're looking at mostly a rain, sleet, snow mix south of the Metroplex here. And this may be adjusted as we go, as we get closer. Part of this will be temperatures and those kinds of things. I will tell you, this does not mean, and I've already seen a few of you get frustrated over this, but this does not mean that we will not have snow in these areas. It just means that snow will be mixed in with maybe some freezing rain, sleet, that kind of thing. Maybe some just regular rain here, especially as you go farther south, but coverage across our area will be pretty widespread. And as you go north into the Metroplex and northward, that's where you will see mostly snow. So again, as you get closer to the Metroplex, you will see more snow, but I think that really, and the models seem to be kind of converging on this idea, that we will see more rain-snow mix, rain, snow, sleet, freezing rain, that kind of thing mix, as you get south of I-20 there, south of the Metroplex. Then north of the Metroplex, that is where we will see more of the consistent snow, mostly snow in terms of that composition. But again, some of that is hard to tell. This line, it's not an exact line. This is not a hard delineation. This is just a kind of a broad stroke, a guess of how far northward we will see that mix versus where we can start kind of transitioning over to just straight snow across those areas. Now, I want to talk about timing, and Jimmy Porch, if you will forgive me for the moment, I'm going to take his logo off here so that we can kind of see the wording here. So here's what we're watching. Wednesday night, we could see some isolated flurries, could see some isolated moisture making its way in. It won't be much. I don't think that we have any kind of travel issues to worry about on Wednesday night going into Thursday morning. Now, Thursday morning, probably even pre-dawn here, and we could even see it kind of increase over the course of the night. So as we get into 10 o'clock, midnight, 2 a.m., we'll start to see that coverage increase, and by Thursday morning, by the time you're getting up, we will see that wintry precipitation in place. And we will get above freezing during the day on Thursday. It may not be very long, but we will get above freezing for at least a short period of time. And so that could lend some variation to some of that precipitation. That could help us get into more of a rain situation as opposed to the snow and the sleet. But my concern is that really two things. One, Thursday morning, it may depend on how early this stuff starts if we have any kind of travel impacts on Thursday morning. Then getting beyond that, during the day Thursday, things start to melt, but they don't melt for very long before we get back below freezing. Thursday night, the wintry precipitation tapers off overnight. It may not be, we may still have widespread activity throughout the evening on Thursday, but Thursday night we generally start tapering off. Friday morning, a few lingering showers and flurries are possible. We will still be below freezing. I think a lot of the travel impacts are going to depend on how much moisture is on the ground when we refreeze Thursday evening. Thursday night, we're back in the 20s, and then Friday morning, we could very well be looking at some travel impacts, but we will get above freezing again on Friday, so that could end up lending more credence to decisions to delay things rather than close. But time will tell there. Again, for these school time, these delays and these closures, a lot of the time it's a game time decision. They make that early that morning. By Friday in the afternoon, this should be cleared out. We should actually be looking at pretty nice conditions there. So this is kind of the timeline here. I know this doesn't give you an exact start time. I'm not able to tell you it's going to start snowing at exactly 6 a.m. We're not able to do that yet, but I can tell you this is the general timeline that we're looking at here. This is kind of my gut feeling here. I know the National Weather Service put one of theirs out. I'm sure it's probably similar to this. This is kind of the consensus that we have been seeing, and if you're just tuning in, don't worry. We'll go back through all of this again here shortly. So let's get over to the kind of the snow totals. Now, again, this is something that has to be refined as we get closer, and as this storm system forms and we get the better idea of the track, then we'll probably refine and update this. But at this time, at this moment, this is the NAM model. This is the first time we've really gotten a picture of this when it comes to the higher resolution, the shorter term models. So this is the NAM 12K here. Now, I will also say that this is generally pretty close, I think, to some of the thinking of the other models. Some of them may be a little higher, maybe a little lower, but I think generally this is about what we're looking at, and some of this may be exaggerated here. I think looking at 8+ inches from Stephenville to Weatherford, I need a little convincing to really bring that to the bank, but I think that we're pretty consistent here with increasing those as we go northward. So you can see less than an inch, or really up to an inch, as we get into Gun Barrel City, to southern Ellis County, parts of Hill and Navarro counties. And this is not saying that you won't have some snow in southern Hill and Navarro counties. This is just saying that once we actually get into the accumulations, probably looking closer to the northern part of those counties, you get into Ellis and Johnson counties, could be looking at 2 to 4, maybe even 5 inches of snow here. Again, this is just a current estimate, and then yeah, you see that pink, and that could be 8+ inches, could be 9 to 10 inches there between Stephenville and Strawn. So this is, again, this is broad strokes here. This is kind of a general idea, and so this is just looking at the fact that during this time, this amount of snow is possible with the current projections of the models. Again, this storm is just starting to come together. Over the next couple of days, it will actually get organized and start moving, and so that will give us a better idea of its trajectory. So we'll probably see updates on this. Some of the general thinking, though, I was texting with a couple of meteorologists today. Generally, the thinking is that we could have a snow band that kind of gets organized and just kind of hangs out over the Metroplex, really over our whole area, and that could be responsible for some of those higher amounts of snow totals there. So that's what we're looking at in terms of those totals. I don't want you to get married to this. Please let me reiterate again that we could very well be looking at this getting adjusted and refined as we get closer, once that storm system really gets organized and starts making its way our direction the next couple of days. That storm system is still fairly young. It's still kind of organizing itself. So as it gets further along, our forecasts will become more clear and more refined. So just pay attention to that. Pay attention to the updates as we bring them to you over the next couple of days. So here's the forecast. And again, if you're just joining in, we're going to go back and recap all of this because I saw the numbers of those of you tuning in kind of took a little while. So tomorrow and Wednesday, a couple of more nice days. If there's anything you need to get done, and I'll be sharing some tips for you later this evening, any of that needs to get done, do it over the next couple of days. We're in the low 40s. It'll be chilly out there, but it's not going to be near as gross as it will be on Thursday. Late Wednesday, I haven't quite put it on there yet, but I do think that we could see just a few isolated little flurries here. And I'm talking about maybe 1 or 2 blowing flakes. Nothing intense. Overnight Wednesday into Thursday, that's when we start to increase the coverage. I have 70% here. I'm probably going to bump that to 80% for tomorrow morning's forecast. 37 Wednesday, 35 Friday. those probably could, well, I'm going to look. These may be flipped. We may actually be cooler on Thursday than on Friday. The thing is that when you're in the wintertime, you actually get warmer temperatures generally with cloud cover because it holds in daytime heating. So that's why when you look at the Thursday night into Friday morning, we're not quite as cold as we have been. You look at the lows here, 23, 25, 27 here. So this is actually one of the warmer mornings in our forecast because we're going to have that cloud cover to kind of hold in some of that daytime heating. So Friday morning, I think that some of this tapers off. If anything, by Friday morning, we could have more snow coverage, dominant snow coverage. So overnight Thursday into Friday, I think is probably our best chance to get just straight snow. I know that's not during the day when everybody wants to play with it, but that will probably be our best chance, as those will be the coldest temperatures that we will have. The best chance to, as we talked about the other day, get rid of that warmer air aloft that would, it would melt those snowflakes, and then they refreeze. That's how you get sleet, right? And then freezing rain is when you have freezing temperatures closer to the surface and it's rain most of the time falling, those kinds of things. I should have put that graphic in the forecast here, but that's what we're looking at on the front end. Now, by the time we get to the weekend, next week, temperatures go riding up, but you notice we stay in the 20s overnight. We're getting rid of the clouds, which means that overnight the heat can lift away and we're left with fairly chilly temperatures. So we're still looking at overnights in the 28, 29, maybe 30 degree range. So we're still fairly chilly. The cold air will hang out with us for a while, but at least the daytime will not be quite as chilly as it is now. So I'm actually going to go, let's go back to the very beginning here, because I know that we had several people who jumped in late. So let's just make sure that everybody gets a chance to jump in and be part of this. A couple of things coming in. Okay, I'm just watching the phone because I'm getting a few updates here. Getting a look at the questions. So I've had a lot of people asking me what do I think the schools are going to do. It is way too early. Schools will probably make a decision that morning whether they're going to delay or something like that the night before or the morning up. There's no way to know ahead of time. But as we get into the timing, I'll talk about what seems to make sense right now. But again, hey, there's still tomorrow and Wednesday to refine this forecast. But the system we're watching is out in the western United States right now. This kind of big area here, that will be making its way. Now, as I pointed out, this system is not completely formed yet. We're still watching this thing organize. It will get organized over the next couple of days over the desert Southwest and then make its way eastward. And that will help us to further refine this forecast, because that will tell us what the track will be. If it tracks farther north, farther south, there are different variables there. So if we see changes in the forecast over the next couple of days, it's because this storm system has not yet completely formed and completely determined its track forward. So here's the precipitation types, and this is basically the same as what I posted earlier today. Rain snow mix across the most of our area here for the most part. And this line, don't look at this line as that's a hard cutoff. This is just kind of a general line of where we expect mostly a mix to the south and then mostly just snow up to the north. So the Metroplex on up to the Red River, probably more of a consistent snow. Now, as you get farther north, your chances of snow increase. And we'll get to that in a second here, but just keep in mind, this also, and I didn't mention this before, but this may also lead to a higher ice risk down here in the southern part of the area, because this area will have more opportunities for some of that moisture that falls early on Thursday when we are below freezing. Thursday afternoon, we get above freezing, even if just for a little while. We melt some of that moisture. That covers the ground, covers some roads, maybe some bridges and overpasses. Then it freezes as we get below freezing Thursday evening, Thursday night. So that could lend more of an opportunity for frozen surfaces here. So we will have to keep that in mind for sure on Thursday. So here's the timeline I've come up with. This does not give you an exact start time for anything. We don't have that. We may not even have that until that time, especially considering we're going to have a mix of things going on. So it's going to be really hard to tell you exactly when it's going to start snowing, when snow is only part of that equation. I think Wednesday night we may see a few isolated flurries out there. This will be just as that moisture is starting to move in. So I'm not really expecting much, but I think that for the most part, we can look at this and say, hey, I'm fairly certain at this point that we will see just a few isolated flurries. You may be able to go Wednesday night before bed and just see a few blowing flakes, and that would be about it. Overnight Wednesday, really probably after midnight Wednesday night into very early Thursday morning, we will start to see more coverage of all of this throughout the day Thursday. We will see pretty much moisture precipitation most of the day. It's hard to tell right now if it's just going to be consistent all day long or if it's going to be kind of in waves. We will have to watch and see how that goes. Thursday night, the wintry precipitation continues, but it starts tapering off. And I think by Friday morning, we could have a few lingering flurries here. Now, the best chance I think we will see snow will be late Thursday, so Thursday night, Thursday evening, Thursday night, into Friday morning. That's when we will be at our coldest with the most moisture in the area, and then we have the best opportunity at that point to have consistent cold temperatures from the ground all the way to the cloud. Remember that graphic I showed you yesterday where we have to get rid of any warm air between us and the surface, I should say the bottoms of those clouds. We have to make sure we have all moisture, all below freezing moisture through that time so that we don't melt those snowflakes into, sleet or grapple or one of those things. So just keep that in mind. So this is the timing that we have here as far as Friday morning, just a few of those things. This could also be when we have our biggest kind of our travel impacts, right? Because as we get into Thursday, we will be above freezing for a time, but then Thursday evening, Thursday night, we drop below freezing at that point. Friday morning, we'll probably have at least some ice across at least bridges and overpasses, could be on the roads as well. So just bear in mind that Friday morning could be when we see the most issues. And to tell you the truth, people have asked, well, when do you think that we're going to be looking at these? What do you think we'll be looking at in terms of these school delays? If everything pans out exactly the way that we're looking right now, if everything plays out exactly as I'm thinking it will, the safest call would probably be a delay on Friday morning because we will get above freezing on Friday. Now, that depends on what time we'll get above freezing on Friday, whether we'll do that in time for that delay to make sense. But again, it's just one of those situations where it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen because it depends on how things fall. No pun intended, but it really does. It just depends on how things go. So we will continue, of course, to bring those updates on that to you and kind of keep an eye on how things progress forward. And I do have to say by Friday afternoon, we should be moving the moisture out, should be clearing out with more sun and warming up. So we should be hopefully getting rid of any of that leftover moisture by that time. And let's see, I want to make sure, Jimmy, we get you back up there. So there we go. So here's what we're looking at in terms of those snow totals. Oh, bummer, I think I lost my light here. So if you see some distortion on the green screen behind me, just a new light back there that I'm slowly learning how that thing works, and it looks like maybe that needs to be charged. So we'll take care of that later. But across our area, here is right now. This is right now. This could very well change over the next couple of days here. Some of the kind of generalized thinking here is that we'll see a band of snow produce, and then we could see that kind of be persistent north of us, and then we would get a little less of that over in our area. So this is kind of what it's thinking. Northern Hill County, Northern Navarro County. No, I did that backwards here. Northern Hill County, Northern Navarro County, maybe up to an inch, maybe more of a dusting. 2 to 4 inches possible where you see the darker blue here, and then getting more up into the Metroplex, 6 to 8 inches possible, and 8+ inches as you get really north and west of the area. So from Stephenville to Weatherford up into Denton County there. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of this NAM model. This is the first model, the more higher resolution short-term model that we're looking at. This is the first one that's had this kind of estimate. So again, this could very well change. And this is not saying you won't have some flurries, maybe towards West and Hubbard and over towards Wortham and Kearns. This is just saying that in terms of those more prevalent accumulations and those kind of things, that's going to be farther to the north. But we will have to wait and see how that storm develops, see if that changes the track at all, and see how maybe we can change what that's going to do in terms of our expectations of where snow will fall and how much. So over the next couple of days, Tuesday, Wednesday, this is going to be your best opportunity to finish up those winter preparations. So covering the spigots and dripping the faucets and those kind of things, anything you need to do outside, all those adjustments need to be made here tomorrow and Wednesday. Late Wednesday night, we'll probably start seeing some flurries here and there, but most of it's on Thursday. And you notice 37 degrees, so mid to upper 30s for your highs. So we will get above freezing, but it won't be for very long before we're back to freezing. And you notice we're actually, you would think that with all the winter weather going on, that Thursday night into Friday morning would be our coldest night. It's actually our warmest. That layer of warm, relatively warm clouds, those will help us to kind of act as a blanket and will hold in that daytime heating. So that will not lift away and allow us to cool down too terribly much. And that could be helpful with those roads. So just keep that in mind. But Friday, we will probably still have some moisture, some precipitation in the morning. Could be out of here before dawn, could be later. It just kind of depends, again, on the speed and timing of that system. But I think by Friday afternoon, we're clearing out, we get more sun, we'll warm up at least to 35. If we get those clouds out of here a little earlier, we could get a little warmer there. Breezy northwest winds as well. And then by the time we get to the weekend, early next week, we're back in the 40s, mid-40s, in fact. Could be closer to 50 by the time we get into midweek next week. So we have nice weather to come, and the next couple of days will be fairly pleasant. But then Thursday just looks like a gross day. Hopefully there's some enjoyment out of it. Maybe we'll get some snow that folks can enjoy. And aside from that, though, it's going to be kind of hectic out there. So when it comes to, again, those travel impacts and those school delays and those kinds of things, we will have to wait and see how that goes. We'll have to wait and kind of evaluate that as we get closer. And Jonathan, thank you so much for the Venmo donation. Greatly, greatly appreciated there. I want to make sure I get to your questions here. Thomas Watkins asking power line concerns as far as icing on the lines. I will tell you that icing on the lines is entirely possible, especially, like I said, once this is all falling, could accumulate on the lines as we get through the day. It will melt, likely, at least some of it will, as we get into the afternoon on Thursday, but then it will refreeze. So we could have some freezing weighing down on those lines, especially later in the day, Thursday, as we get into late Thursday, early Friday. So that will be a concern. We could have some power issues, not owing to the grid necessarily, the statewide grid, ERCOT, all those kind of things. If we have any power outages, it's very much more likely that it's probably damage, equipment failures, those kinds of things owing to this storm. So Thomas, yes, that is absolutely a possibility. And yeah, we addressed that, and not sure when and if schools will close or delay. Let me, I'm just going back to see if there's any questions. And Shay, your computer keeps telling you 10 plus inches of snow. The thing is, and I've said it many times, those apps and the websites and those kind of things, a lot of those are automated. They're going to go with whatever the last model said. They're not looking at the big picture. They're not looking at the context. They're not reading these models with the nuance that they deserve and they require. They're just looking at, hey, this is what the last model said, so sure, this is our new forecast. And that's why they change every hour, it seems like, because they're just going with what the last model said. That's not always correct. Somebody said you're in the minority, but you're excited for snow. I know multiple people are. Rain in the winter with freezing temperatures, bad combination. It absolutely is. That's when you get your ice and freezing rain and that kind of thing. Giovanni asking, do you think any that will stick? I think that we will see accumulations, especially late Thursday into early Friday. Like I said, during the day Thursday, we will have a period where we should be above freezing, so we'll see some melting happen there. Now, it will also be cloudy, so we won't quite have the sun directly melting some of these things. But I do think that we will more likely see some accumulation of that snow early Friday. I think that that's probably late Thursday or early Friday. I think is going to be our best chance for any kind of accumulating snow, but it may also be our best chance for some of those slick roadways. So that will be a concern. Jamie, hope ERCOT can keep up with it. That's the good news, is this is not the kind of statewide freeze that we saw back in 2021. So this is not that kind of situation. We will be above freezing, at least during the days when this is going on. Back in 21, we were below freezing for an extended period of time. This is not that same kind of situation. So we should be able to sail right through without too many concerns. Julia said you're late here. How's it looking? The two things I'll say. One is you can go back and watch the full broadcast. So once this is over, you'll be able to go back and recap. But for the Blooming Grove area, I would just say that looks like for Blooming Grove, it's probably going to be a rain, sleet, snow mix is what I would expect out there. Could have some snow accumulation, light accumulation, probably up to an inch or so by the time we get into late Friday, or late Thursday into early Friday. Most of it's going to be north of you, but there could be some ice concerns there as well. So everything probably starts late Wednesday, early Thursday. Throughout the day Thursday, it will be just a nasty mess with all kinds of precipitation going on. Unclear if it's going to be consistent through the day or just waves, and then that should be moving out of here by Friday afternoon. So Blooming Grove will get some winter precipitation and could have some mixed precipitation there with some ice concerns. I wonder if it will be a wet, heavy snow or a light, fluffy snow. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be on the heavier side, at least for the most part, because we will be in the 26, 27 degree range. So not quite as cold as what we saw back in 2021, that February, that big storm. That's probably the lightest, fluffiest, most, paradise looking snow that we've had. We won't quite be that cold, so it looks like it could be a little bit of a slushy rain there. Carl's Corner, winter mix too. Yes, Carl's Corner will probably see a little bit of a mix. Honestly, could see more of, well, yeah, that's northern Hill County, southern Ellis County. So yeah, I would definitely think that we would be looking at a wintry mix, maybe some light snow accumulation there in Carl's Corner. Jamie asking how much you think it will be likely to stick, or how long will it take to melt? So, okay, we're getting a little more detailed than I can get here, Jamie. I apologize. So, but how much do you think it will likely to stick? We went over the accumulations earlier, so we can go back to, oh, good Lord. Man, I might as well get a press conference going here, folks. I need my podium with a seal on it. So here's the accumulations, what we were looking at. So up to an inch, where you see kind of this grayish color, getting closer to 2 to 4 inches in parts of Johnson and Ellis counties here, and then closer to 6 to 8 inches when we get into closer to the Metroplex there, and then north and west of the Metroplex could be higher. Let's see, how's Plano looking for Thursday? It doesn't look great. Looks like it will be mostly snow up in the Plano area. Could be some mix in there, but mostly snow for the Plano area. So that's what we're looking at in terms of our coverage. Nicole asking, what about Ennis? Is it going to be heavy snow and sleet? Yeah, so looks like Ennis again, looking at that mix of, but we could have at least a modest coverage of snow there, maybe up to an inch or so. What are the thoughts on Denton? Have to travel there Thursday morning. I would say that it is a drive to Denton on Thursday morning. Take your time. By the time you're driving out there, it will probably be a little dicey on those roadways. So definitely be very, very careful as you're driving up to Denton, because you'll be now closer to Denton. We maybe have fewer issues because we'll be dealing with more of a snow situation as you go farther north. Snow by itself doesn't necessarily make the roads as slick as, say, sleet or freezing rain might, but you could very well be dealing with more of a snow situation there. Holly Smith, you're asking about Waxahachie. Well, you're looking at it right here. So really 2 to 4 inches again, and this is if this actually ends up. Actually ends up being the forecast here. We have to wait till we get a little closer, a little farther along. So for Waxahachie, I would say 2 to 3 inches of snow is probably realistic for that accumulation, but it will be a snow, rain, and sleet mix, I think. So, Nicole, like I said before, it's really impossible at this point to say what the schools are going to do. The schools will make a decision either late the night before or early the morning of, probably early the morning of. If I could speculate here, and this is worth nothing because I don't work for the school district, but if I had to speculate, I would say that the schools will have a better chance of having a delay or something on Friday, because that's when we will have had this extended period of precipitation, and we will have frozen overnight Friday night. We could be dealing with Thursday as well. We could be dealing with early that morning some accumulations and travel issues, depending on how early we start. Michelle, this is really Thursday. So Thursday is when most of the precipitation falls. That is what we are looking at in terms of those expectations, and we'll give you the forecast here for you to look at. So that's kind of what we're expecting. So most of this on Thursday may have some lingering precipitation on Friday night. Let's see. One person saying you're ready for snow. I know a lot of folks are. A lot of folks are ready for snow, for snow coverage out there. And let's see. Going to get back on top of this. Kristen, thank you so much for your Venmo donation. That is greatly appreciated there. So Katie, probably so. So in terms of that timeline, we are probably looking at overnight Wednesday into Thursday morning. Again, some of the travel impacts Thursday morning may depend on how early we get that precipitation started Wednesday night. As that storm that we're watching actually comes together, gets organized, and starts moving our way, we'll be able to refine that timeline a little bit more there. Brett is asking a lot of questions about ducks, and I'll be honest with you, I really don't know about ducks, so I can't really help you there. Tiffany is supposed to be flying this weekend. Better to try Thursday or Friday. I mean, depending on the timing you're talking about, I would say Friday is probably better. I would say Friday afternoon, you're more likely to be dealing with that. But by that point, there may be a lot of delays and those kind of things. So you may have some issues to deal with there. Celine Lopez looking at Kaufman County here. Well, I mean, for Kaufman County, looks like it's really going to vary, but I would say that for Kaufman County, you're looking at anywhere from maybe 2 to 3 inches to, as you get closer to Rockwall up there, could be looking at closer to 4 to 5 inches. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of the snow accumulations. But Kaufman County will also probably be part of this mix. So most of Kaufman County, I think, will probably see a mix of rain, sleet, and then as you get farther north into Terrell and closer to Rockwall, that will be where we have more of a consistent snow situation. And Yolanda, yes. So when we look at Wednesday night into Thursday, so let's just go back through. And we got a lot of new folks that are jumping in. So we'll just start here. So this is the precipitation types where you see this line. If you're south of this line, that is where we are expecting more of a mix. So especially the farther south you go. So when you get down to Gatesville, Waco, Groesbeck, that's mostly going to be rain, maybe some freezing rain, sleet going on there. As you go farther north, that's where we're looking at more of a rain-snow mix, a sleet-snow mix there. But once you get north into the Metroplex and up from there, that's where we're looking at more of a consistent snowfall. So we'll probably, most of the pictures of the snowmen and things will probably be coming from north and northwest of our area. Mary, we just started over here, so just give us a few moments and we'll answer your question here. So here's the timeline that we have. I don't have exact times. Wednesday night, Looking at some isolated flurries here. I think Wednesday night, in terms of, moving after sunset, we could see just a few isolated flurries out there, nothing too impressive. And then as we get into Thursday, so late Wednesday night, moving into Thursday morning, that's when we start to see the precipitation become more widespread. I would say by the time you're having breakfast on Thursday morning, we'll probably have some pretty widespread precipitation across the area, especially getting into the afternoon. We will get above freezing for a time on Thursday, so whatever falls will have an opportunity to melt, but we drop back below freezing Thursday night. But late Thursday night into Friday morning, we start to see that precipitation taper off here over the course of that period. So by the time we get into Friday morning, a few lingering showers and flurries will be possible. So Friday morning, generally we could see our best chance for travel impacts at that point, because we will have had not only multiple hours of precipitation by that point, but we will also have seen multiple opportunities, or one opportunity for this to melt and then refreeze Thursday night into Friday morning. So that could be our best opportunity for some of these icy roadways. Thursday morning, the travel impacts will likely be determined by how late Wednesday night, how early Thursday morning we start the precipitation. So that's a little bit iffy at this point. But by Friday afternoon, we should be getting the moisture out of here, warming up above freezing. So that's kind of your timeline here. I'll also say our best chance for snow, probably Thursday night into Friday morning. So once we drop below freezing, once we get into the 20s there, late Thursday, early Friday, that's probably when we're going to see the most of the snow across our area south of the Metroplex. So that's probably what we're going to be looking at there. So as we get into the rest of this period here, the snow accumulations. Now again, this is the NAM model. So this is the first of the short-term, higher resolution models to actually give us an idea of these accumulations. And this is pretty, broadly consistent. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty broadly consistent with the pattern. Listen to what I say here. The pattern of what we are looking at across our area. Now, some of the models are a lot more dramatic with those accumulation amounts. Some of the models are not quite so dramatic. But we have to look at all of them, look at overall consensus, look at the big picture, the patterns and those kind of things to get the best idea of what we're looking at. So I think from Hillsborough, Corsicana on northward, we have at least an inch, or up to an inch really. So up to an inch, so half an inch to an inch of snow accumulation. Getting farther towards Cleburne and Waxahachie up to Red Oak, that's where we could be looking at 2 to 4 inches. So we're getting a little bit more heavy there. Up in the Metroplex, I think 6 to 8 inches is probably realistic, at least determined by the current expectation of the pattern. And then farther west and north, we're probably looking at 8 inches. Now, this is over the course of from late Wednesday through early Friday. So this is a pretty extended period for all of this to fall. Kind of the expectation here, and I was texting with a couple of meteorologists today, kind of the expectation here is for kind of a snow band, a persistent snow band to kind of form over this area. So that's where we're looking at. Dusty, no, the NAM is predicting, this is snow totals, this is specifically snow totals. This is not talking about the freezing rain and sleet. We are looking at a mix, most likely. Let's go back to this map here. This is the same as what we posted earlier today. So pretty much all the models are pretty consistent on this, that south of the Metroplex, we will have a mix of sleet, freezing rain, snow. Now, the farther north you go, the more snow you're going to see mixed in. But I do think that south of the Metroplex, we should expect some kind of mixture, some composition of a mixture of precipitation area-wide. Now, north of Metroplex and northward, you're going to see mostly snow in terms of what is falling there. And let's see. If my phone would like to open and cooperate here, thank you, Karen, for the Venmo donation. That is greatly appreciated there. And as I say, all never expected, always appreciated is what I think. What I think the saying is that I was going with there. So 2 to 4 inches of snow and additional sleet and ice. Brian, that's possible. That is possible with what we're looking at here with these models. And again, as we see the storm get better organized and evolved and start making its track over the next couple of days, this will probably get updated and refined. So that's just kind of the expectation of the next couple of days. We could very well be looking at a situation where things adjust as we get closer. Tony Sewell, black ice with freeze thaw freeze. It's possible. So as I mentioned here, and I know I keep going back and forth, but as I mentioned, as we get into Thursday night and a Friday morning, we will have had several hours of precipitation, have an opportunity to melt Thursday in the afternoon as we get briefly above freezing, then quickly refreeze Thursday night into Friday morning. So that will probably be our best chance. Probably our best chance to see the to see any kind of freezing going on those surfaces. Now, when we talk about, let's see, where is Midlothian on the map? Well, I suppose you might be new to the area here. So Midlothian is just north of Waxahachie, just west of Red Oak. So Midlothian is right here near Venus. So again, expecting a mix. And then as far as those accumulations, we will probably be looking at 2 to 4, maybe 3 to 4 inches of snow expected per the NAM model, per that first high resolution model that we have for this system. Amber Martinez, what day night will be the worst? So as far as that timeline, early Thursday morning we start that precipitation all day Thursday. Hard to tell if it's going to be all day or just waves. And then as we get into Thursday night here, wintry precipitation starts to taper off. But again, Thursday afternoon we get above freezing, so we will refreeze any moisture that's left when we drop into Thursday evening here. And then Friday morning could be the best opportunity for some of those ice accumulations. Late Thursday, early Friday, probably the best chance for snow as well. So Thursday all day is pretty much going to be a nasty day for travel. Friday, the afternoon, we should be able to kind of melt and get rid of whatever's left on the ground at that point. So that's kind of how how all of that works out here. And Elizabeth, you said you're flying out of DFW 6 a.m. Friday morning. What are you looking at? Well, you're probably looking at some delays, unfortunately, because we will have had all that moisture, all that precipitation on Thursday, and then by the time we get to Friday morning, it will probably be frozen on the ground, at least in some way. So yeah, I would say expect delays Friday morning. Be patient with those folks, because we could very well have a bit of an issue there with the flights getting out around that time. And Walter, PA, so I guess you're in Pennsylvania. We're in north central Texas here between Dallas and Waco. So we're preparing for this winter storm that is going to be heading our way. And I think Pennsylvania, I think you've gotten really most of the snow in this last system that we had, or at least a bit of it. Katie said, having a baby early Thursday morning, will the roads be super bad by then? It's hard to say. So Thursday morning travel impacts are a little rough to try to forecast, because that largely depends on how early the precipitation starts. At that point, any precipitation we get should be solid, at least in our particular area. Now, I'm not sure exactly where you're driving from and to, but it looks like at that hour, I doubt we'll have any kind of freezing rain that's spreading across everywhere. So that's kind of my expectation. So Thursday morning, you'll at least probably be driving through some wintry precipitation, maybe kind of a miserable drive, but it's hard to say exactly how much ice might be on the roads, those kind of things. A little tough to tell, because the timing of when all this stuff starts on Thursday morning will largely determine the answer to that question. Have you said how much snow you predict in Waxahachie and Dallas? We did, and we can get back to that. Get back to that here. Nope, wrong direction. Let's go. Here we go. All right, so Yeah, so Marley asking how much snow to predict in Waxahachie and Dallas. So more in Dallas than Waxahachie. Waxahachie probably looking at 2 to 3 inches of snow here, just based on the latest model. We'll be updating this for you, of course, as we get closer, because, as I've said several times, as that storm organizes and starts moving our way, that'll give us a better time of how fast it's moving. So that gives us timing and that kind of thing. So we'll see if these totals evolve before we get closer to that. But the latest short-term kind of high-resolution model that we have, or really this is the first one we've got because we're still a couple days out, could be looking at 6 to 7 inches of snow in Dallas by the time we're done with the entire event. Again, this is after the entire event. This is by Friday afternoon. This is not necessarily just on Thursday. So whatever we get late Thursday into early Friday, that will be included here too. So this is several hours of snowfall. And, we could find out that this is really overdoing it. There are some models that are less than this. There are some models that are a lot higher than this. But I think that this is, per what we're seeing right now, fairly realistic. Some of the expectation, like I said, is that we'll see kind of this snow band that will be mostly intense north and west of us. And then going from there. Austin, you asked about anything on duck migration. Brett was asking too. I really don't know. I don't really. I haven't studied up on duck migration and those kind of things. So I really couldn't tell you. I know there's some folks that want that information. You're flying your plane out Thursday, the airport by Long Branch and Midlothian. So you're flying out of the Eagle's Nest out there. Will there be a delay? I would imagine so. Thursday's going to be pretty nasty in terms of the weather. We'll have lots of that precipitation falling, that wintry mix in that area. So yeah, I would just be ready for some delays and some issues flying out on Thursday. The weather will be pretty miserable for flying. Crystal, you're asking about Eureka here. Wintry mix expected in Eureka. Could be some snow there, probably some light accumulations, but you will probably at least get a wintry mix. Could be a little more slushy down there. Could be a little more wet, but with wet, freezing temperatures comes ice. So we could be looking at mostly an ice issue. Frank asking where the cat is. The cat is, I think, doing his own thing. He's probably sitting around in the bedroom there, nice and cozy in bed, where I would love to be. So that's kind of where things stand right now. And I just have to check in on, make sure the dogs are inside, because we got to make sure that the pets are inside. Somebody asking about Midlothian. Like we said, Midlothian probably a rain-snow mix, but could be more snow there. And so I would say north of Waxahachie, of course, for the Midlothian area, 3 to 4 inches of snow possible by the time we get through the entire event here, but probably more of a mix in that area, starting late Wednesday, early Thursday, and ending late Thursday into early Friday. Grandview, pretty much about the same. So 2 to 3 inches of snow possible in Grandview, but it will probably be mixed in with some of this rain and freezing rain and sleet and that kind of thing. So that is kind of the expectation there in Grandview. The timing, again, late Wednesday into early Thursday. So we have a lot of people asking about their locations here, and it's pretty much going to be the same area-wide. We have a wintry mix possible late Wednesday, early Thursday, really throughout the day Thursday and into early Friday. Your snow accumulations may change as we go, but then, wow, we got a lot of people asking about their specific town. Let's just go back through. I think we got a lot of new people jumping in and haven't seen the whole conversation here. So let's just start here. So look at the map and figure out where your location is, and we'll go from there. So this line is a rough estimate of where we will see a delineation between mostly a wintry mix to the south and mostly just snow up to the north. So this is not saying that you won't get any snow south of that. I've already seen some people say, well, great, we're not going to get snow. That's not what that means, folks. You don't have to take every word we say as a dashing your hopes. We got a little more for you than that. But south of that line is going to be mostly a mix. As you go farther south here, a little more rain mixed in, right? But that, again, could be lending to more of an ice issue there, but a little more snow mixed in as you get into Ellis and Johnson counties, Navarro and Hill counties, a little bit more of a probably a slushy kind of mix there. And then as far as the timing is concerned, I keep having to, I didn't take this logo into account when we were doing this. So, and William, you're asking about Lexington, Kentucky. Well, I don't cover that area, so I apologize. I'm in Texas, covering between Dallas and Waco. Wednesday nights, the earliest we could see some small flurries. Late Wednesday night, I would say after midnight Wednesday into very early Thursday. That's when we start to see the precipitation move in from the southwest. Thursday, precipitation will be possible all day long. Could be that we just get straight precipitation all day. Could be that we have kind of some waves here. It's a little unclear at this point exactly what that's going to look like. But late Thursday night into early Friday morning, we start to see that precipitation taper off. Friday morning could be a few lingering showers here. I will say that late Thursday is probably going to be our best chance for snow. Late Thursday, early Friday, but that could also be our best chance for some ice accumulations there, because we will have had several hours of precipitation on Thursday. We get above freezing for a period of time where some of that will melt and then refreeze Thursday night as we get back below freezing here. So just some things to kind of think about, but by the time we get to Friday afternoon, we should be in a much better position, should be getting to the point where we're warming up and bringing out the sun a little bit more there. So as we go forward here, that's not what I need, that's what I need. As we go forward with the accumulations, the snow accumulations, northern Navarro County, northern Hill County, up to an inch, maybe an inch and a half there, I would say. And then getting into Ellis and Johnson County is going to be closer to 2, 3, possibly 4 inches. As you get up into the metroplex, you get north of that line I talked about, that's where you start to see more of those accumulations. So 6, 7 inches possible, Dallas, 7 to 8 in Fort Worth, and then farther to the west, Weatherford and Stephenville. That's where we're kind of looking at maybe the core of that snow band being. That's where you're going to get some of those heavier precipitation accumulations. And I'll say too, again, this is the entire period. This is from late Wednesday night into early Friday. So several hours of accumulation here. It's not like this is all going to happen at once. This will be an accumulation over a period of time. Wendy Johnson, you're cool enough to cover the entire country. You guys wear me out enough covering just this area. I don't think I could cover the entire country. I don't even imagine how that would be possible. There are these guys that they cover different parts of the country when severe weather is happening there. There will be a lot of guys covering Dallas, Fort Worth, a lot of folks that are covering our particular area this week. After that, they move east. They forget who we are. They'll follow the storm. We stay on north central Texas here. That's what makes us a little bit different. Vicky Hill, can you push it down a little further? Love this weather. Not sure you're referring to there, but you know, this is what we've got. So if you enjoy it now, because as we get into next week, could be warming up. Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, these next couple of days are going to be your best chance to get any kind of anything done in terms of covering the spigots and those kind of things outdoors. Thursday, the precipitation is here late Wednesday, could have a flurry or two, but really, I think Thursday and Friday, early Friday, are best chances there. But you notice we're freezing Wednesday night into Thursday morning, so impacts Thursday morning will largely depend on when the precipitation actually starts. During the day, Thursday, it's falling, it's gross, it's terrible, but we will melt some of that Thursday as we get above freezing. Get into late Thursday, early Friday, we drop back below freezing. Some opportunity for maybe some travel impacts there. Above freezing on Friday. Again, by Friday afternoon, we're pushing that out there, and we should be clearing out, looking fairly nice by the afternoon, but we will drop below freezing again on Friday. So any of that moisture that doesn't evaporate and dry up could have a chance to refreeze, but most of that should be gone. And then by the time we get into next weekend and early next week, we're in the mid 40s, headed up towards the upper 40s. So next week looks pleasant. Still pretty chilly. We'll still be below freezing overnight for a few nights, but overall it looks pretty nice. So the next couple of days here, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's going to be your best opportunity to try to take care of any of these outdoor needs and get those things done before this winter storm arrives in our area. I'm going to check and make sure we're caught up on the Cash App and Venmo donations there. Greatly appreciated, of course. And I thought this light still had some charge to it, but I guess not. Well, we'll see if that'll stay on. May need to give that a good charge before we really get into all this. So any other questions, if you have those, I'd be happy to answer those. Otherwise, we're getting close to an hour here, and I know that we are getting down to the wire here. It's Monday, so we've got Tuesday and Wednesday to continue to evaluate the forecast as we get closer. Of course, we will do that, and the forecast may change. We may make updates to this. Now, that doesn't mean we're wrong. It just means that this system is still getting organized, and over the next couple of days, we will see that get organized and move our direction. We'll be able to refine that forecast for you as we go closer. But for now, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you so much for everybody that tuned in. Of course, if you missed most of this, you can go back and watch it. You can go back and see that. In fact, I don't think that I've answered or looked at the TikTok stream. So I probably better do that and see what questions I might have. Because the TikTok, I forget that the TikTok questions don't come up on the stream there. So, well, I had a question about Crandall, but I think we covered that pretty well earlier. So hopefully that's taken care of there. As someone who grew up in Michigan, you're good. You're ready for summer. We here in Texas are fairly tired of our summers. At least most of us are. 100 degrees is a lot. I know I personally prefer the cooler temperatures here, but we will, we'll see what actually happens beyond that. And hey, we got to have our cold temperatures. We got to kill some bugs and those kind of things too. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I know Brett is very, very interested in what the Ducks are doing. I will do my best to read up on that. Maybe I can get a little more information for you, but I've never been a consistent hunter myself, so I'm not as familiar with that. But we'll see if maybe we can bring some more information to you on that. But thank you so much for tuning in. More updates are to come as this winter storm is headed our way late Wednesday.